I've never fully trusted people in Rule's horror stories because every time I hear, "Whatever you do, don't do this one thing," I immediately think, well, obviously that's the one thing they're going to do. And really, if you just follow the bloody rules, you'll survive. Technically, since I wrote this one, I could have made him do exactly that. I could have made him smarter. But where's the fun in that? Look, I've worked a lot of security jobs. Hospitals, banks, you name it. Most of them are just boring. Long hallways, locked doors, nothing happening. So when I saw an ad for a night gig at an old biscuit factory, I figured, how bad can it be? The pay was good. I needed the cash. The place was called the Old Mill Biscuit Factory. A big old brick thing on the edge of town, still making cheap cookies for discount stores. The fellow who hired me, a guy named Henderson, walked me through. He looked tired, like he hadn't had a good night's sleep in years. The whole place smelled like stale sugar and old, wet metal. And there was this fine dust of flour over everything, like a layer of pale snow. It all seemed normal, just a run-down old factory. Then, at the end of the tour, he handed me this laminated card. His hand was clammy. "Just a few things to keep in mind," he said. He wouldn't look at me, just stared at a crack on the floor. "The guy you're replacing, Jenkins, he found it useful." He didn't say where Jenkins went. The card just said, "Rules for night shift at the Old Mill Biscuit Factory." And the first rule on that list made the hair on my arms stand up. I waited till he was gone, till his footsteps disappeared down the hall. Then I sat down in the little security office and read the list. My first thought, this is a prank. Some kind of joke they pull on the new guy. But the card was worn out, peeling at the corners. The words were faded. It had been read a lot. This is what it said. Rule 1. Be here by 10:55 p.m. Clock in. Don't clock out before 7:05 a.m. Doesn't matter what you see. That time clock is the only thing here you can trust. Rule 2. Between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., you might hear a high-pitched whistle from the big mixing vats. It's just the pipes settling. We had 'em checked. Don't go looking. Rule 3. On the packaging floor, section C, you'll see shadows move in the flour dust on the machines. They look like long, stretched-out people. Keep your flashlight steady. Keep walking. They don't like sudden movements. Rule 4. The walk-in freezer door stays locked. All night. If you hear a soft tapping from inside, like a fingernail on the steel, slide the second bolt across the... Abanathy will handle it in the morning. Don't ask him about it. Rule 5. Do not, and I mean do not, eat any of the product between midnight and 5 a.m. This is not a friendly suggestion. It's the most important rule here. Your life is on the line. Rule 6. If you see a woman in an old 1950s uniform at the end of the conveyor belt, turn around, walk away slow. Don't look at her, don't talk to her. Her name was Eleanor. She lost her wedding ring in a batch of dough a long time ago. She's still looking for it. She'll ask for your help. You don't help her. Rule 7. If the office lights on the second floor start to flicker like crazy, get to the security office, lock the door, turn off the monitor, and get under the desk. Stay there till they stop. Don't look out the window while it's happening. Rule 8. If you break rule number 5, the other rules can't save you anymore. They just tell you what's coming. Your only shot is the old boiler room in the sub-basement. There's a salt circle on the floor. Get inside. And you stay inside till you see sunlight through the window, no matter what they say to you. I read it 3 times. Part of my brain was saying it was a gag, that Jenkins and Henderson were having a good laugh somewhere. Still, I put the card in my pocket. It felt heavier than a piece of plastic ought to. Night shift's always different. The place gets quiet. Too quiet. The roar of the machines was gone, just a low hum from the lights. I grabbed my flashlight and started my rounds. First hour, nothing. Checked doors, looked for leaks, all the usual stuff. The boredom was almost a relief, but I was starting to think the rules were just some ghost story. Then, around 11:30, I heard it. A faint, high-pitched whistle. It was coming from the vats in Section A. Rule 2. Just the pipes, I told myself. But it didn't sound like pipes. It sounded like someone whistling, with no tune to it. Every bone in my body wanted to go see what it was. But the rule said, don't investigate. So I didn't. I just turned and kept walking. And the sound faded away, like it got bored. A cold sweat ran down my back. Had to be the pipes. An hour later, I was in Section C, the packaging floor. Flour dust everywhere, covering the belts and machines like a white sheet. I remembered Rule 3. You may see shadows move. I tried to keep my light steady, tried to keep walking at a normal pace. But you try to follow the rules, and your eyes do their own thing, and I saw it. On the side of a machine, the dust just wiped away. Like a long, skinny hand had swiped it clean and pulled back into the dark. My breath caught. I kept walking. Steady pace. Saw another one further down, a tall, wavy shape that formed out of the dust and just melted when my light got close. They were real. The skepticism was gone. This wasn't a prank. This was a survival guide. Just before midnight, something new hit me. Hunger. Not normal hunger. This was deep, gnawing. And then I smelled it. Fresh biscuits. The factory's golden rounds. The ovens were cold. The lines were dead silent. It made no sense. But the smell was so real, it was like I was standing right next to the oven. It was calling to me. And Rule 5 popped right into my head. No product to be sampled between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. There's a voice in your head when you're that hungry. A stupid voice. It says, it's just one. What's the harm? I tried to eat the sandwich I brought, but it tasted like nothing. The smell of those biscuits was all there was. It pulled me out of the office. I walked through the dark, following the scent to a cooling rack that should have been empty. But it wasn't. There was a single tray of golden rounds, still steaming in the cold air. This was wrong, impossible. But the hunger was an ache that was louder than common sense. The clock on the wall ticked past midnight. 12:01. My hand was shaking, but I reached out and picked one up. It was warm. Your life depends on it. The words were in my head, but they felt far away. I took a bite. For 1 second, it was the best thing I'd ever tasted. Then, the aftertaste hit. Coppery, metallic, like licking a pile of old coins and something else under it. Something savoury and awful. Tasted like something that had been alive. I dropped it. The noise it made hitting the floor was like a gunshot, and then the whole factory went silent. The hum from the lights, everything, gone. I'd made a bad mistake. A terrible mistake. It was a dead, heavy quiet, the kind that hurts your ears. I knew, right down to my bones, I was being hunted now. Rule 8 flashed in my mind. If you break Rule 5, the other rules will no longer protect you. They will become warnings of what is to come. The rules weren't a defense anymore. They were a list of what was out there. And now they knew I was here. The whistling started again. From Section A. It wasn't faint this time, it was sharp. It was smart. And I could hear it whispering my name inside the sound. It's not the pipes. I ran. Just ran. Boiler room, sub-basement, salt circle. That was the only thought in my head. I had no idea where it was. I ran through Section C And the flour dust wasn't just shifting. The shadows were standing up off the machines. Black shapes, impossibly thin, moving like broken insects, they skittered toward me, leaving clean tracks in the dust. My running was like ringing a dinner bell. I dodged around a machine and heard a new sound. A loud thump, thump, thump from the storage bay. The freezer. Rule 4. This wasn't a soft tapping. Something was trying to break the door down from the inside. The steel was bending. I saw the main lock bust. I didn't stick around to see if the second one would hold. I saw the stairs to the offices and took him, hoping for a map. At the far end of the floor below, I saw her. Elellanena. The woman from rule number 6. She was just standing there. But when I got to the top of the stairs, her head turned to look up at me with a sound like cracking wood. Her voice scraped across the factory. "You," it rasped. "Did you take it?" "He likes the sweet ones." She started moving. I didn't look back. The hallway lights started flickering. A strobe effect, light and dark, light and dark. Rule 7. Hide. But I couldn't hide. I had to find the basement. In the flashes of light, I looked through the windows down to the factory floor. I wish I hadn't. It was full of them. The skittering black shapes. And in the middle, something huge was rising up from the main line. A glistening, doughy thing, pulsing with a faint light, covered in what looked like thousands of eyes, the thing I had tasted. At the end of the hall, I saw a sign. Basement access. I threw myself down the concrete steps, falling more than running. The air got cold and damp. The sounds from upstairs were fainter, but there was a new sound behind me. A wet, tearing noise. Like something chewing. My hand found a door frame. A steel door. A small plaque said, "Boiler Room." The handle was stuck. I threw my shoulder against it. The chewing sound was getting closer. With one last push, the door screamed open. I fell inside, slammed it shut. No lock. Across the room, a little bit of moonlight came through a high window, and on the floor, I saw it. A big, perfect circle drawn in a thick line of white salt. I scrambled over and dove inside, just as the handle on the door started to turn. Then the banging started. Then the whispers, from everywhere. Henderson telling me the shift was over. Eleanor begging me to help her find her ring just outside the circle. Then that chewing sound was right outside the door, and a wet, gurgling voice said, "Ate a biscuit. Woke us up. Now. So. Hungry." I put my hands over my ears and stayed in that circle for hours, listening to them scream and bang on the door. And then, just as a little grey light hit the window, it all just stopped. 1 second it was hell. The next, it was silent. I waited till the sun was fully up. Then I stood up and I stepped out of the circle. The factory was quiet. The normal kind of quiet. I walked back through. The flour in section C was covered in strange tracks. The freezer door was hanging off one hinge, dented from the inside. The half-eaten biscuit was gone. I walked straight to the front of the building and pushed the doors open. I didn't even look at the time clock. As I was standing there in the morning sun, a car pulled in. The day shift manager, Abanathy. He got out and saw the look on my face. He stopped, looked at the factory, then back at me. There was no surprise in his eyes. Just that same tired look Henderson had. He knew. He just gave me a slow nod. That was it. I turned and walked away. I walked until I couldn't see the factory anymore, and I never looked back. The terror of that night, it's mostly gone, but one thing stayed with me. That hunger. The one I felt after I ate that biscuit. It never really went away. I'm always hungry now.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening. That story was very spooky.
Oi, what you doing?
I'm doing the outro for you. I'm midnight now.
No you're not. You're 9. You're more like Twilight Creepypasta.
That still sounds cool.
It does, actually.
Okay then, I'm Twilight Creepypasta. Same nightmares, earlier bedtime.
Go to bed. Good night.